Crazy, though, when you think about how many teams are getting caught inside of these box fights, inside of the Storm itself. Mustache, Malabuka, they're just on a recovery tour currently, and it's incredible to think that they're still 156 above that damage threshold, despite that hiccup of Malabuka having to make the reboot ban play in the first place. Wax and Ping, though, they seem like they're primed and interested, potentially, but instead it's just going to be heading to the top of Rift Island. Malabuka might get face, though. He wants more damage.
Little does he know, though, there is Trashy and Threats up here. Next set right now, still lurking nearby. I'm very curious as to why they haven't gone yet. And we might just find out here soon if they end up opening the box and taking fire. But no, Malabuka takes flight first. He's going to get pretty far off. Will it be enough, Taco? It's not looking like the math is going to math here, as Malabuka is going to be the first to fall. He tries to get as far as possible. Mustache will have to land on him and save him now.
The problem, though, is that we're looking at 2 tick zones currently. Monster, Mustache, he can try his best effort, but I fear he might meet a similar fate, because even if he makes it into this next edge of zone, he's still gonna have to deal with all the teams that are already based up, situated, and ready to take advantage of the players that are late straggling in.
Take a look at this refresh from Vino and Clicks now, as they managed to find themselves a little bit of a cachet from some leftover action between Casper and Prism. Prism now not being in this fight, and still you have OCE's Damo and Resigns almost on this warpath with them, continuing to be that thorn in their side, if you will, for lack of a better phrase. But back on over to the focus here as Clicks is looking for action here. Those are his walls. It's Acorn, it's Cold on the other side. A very scary team to go against. In the warm-up games yesterday, in the scrims, right, in our practice lobbies, they pulled off a incredible 16 eliminations just to show the lobby what they're capable of.
The real issue is just knowing that for Clicks and Venno, Clicks, he just needs some fight feels. And you're not going to get that at this stage unless you're able to take down another team successfully. Mustache and Malabuka, though, have pulled off a miracle at this point. And it does seem, even though they're a little bit worse for wear, they're battered for sure, but they're still kicking, and that's all they need at this stage.
They do have big shields as well to work with. That headshot that he picks up right there is going to make a huge difference there as far as their survivability is concerned. Major eliminations are happening, though, as we're covering the action here. One of those, it's Peterbot and Boyle staying active here. Down goes Cheap from the high ground there. And they are doing what we expect of them. Very healthy, extremely material capped, and now picking up points. That's a runaway train potentially starting to take form.
Meanwhile, other teams like Cuddy and Kovacs just trying to see if they can find an angle. Yuma Rise under a little bit of duress here, but it's back to Clicks. Venno trying to see if they can finagle their way out of this awkward position that they found themselves in, boxed up right next to Acorn and Cold. But again, Acorn and Cold, they've got decent amount of materials to work with. More importantly still, though, I think that they are certainly willing to jump into a fight if it calls for.
Oh yeah, yesterday has absolutely proven that they can take on any team without a problem. Talk about that are supposed to be in paper. Paper a little worse for wear. Seems like a bad peek's going to go on the backside of this engagement here. And Vino facing the struggles of taking a lot of damage here as well, and not being able to recover now as they don't have whites.
Still has a couple of flow berries, but again, will that really be enough? Queasy, Thomas HD now starting to surface as well near their area. Ritual, though, takes some big tags, left that wall open just a moment too long. But Ritual, free, come on, coming out of Doomstad. Got to be dealing with Epic Oil and Muzz early on. The fact that this dude already has 3 elims is rather impressive, but Malabuka as well, still holding his own. Shari's got a little bit of an angle peak advantage, so Malabuka's going to look to try and see if he can find a more aggressive push from underneath. Meanwhile, Mustache, again, just trying to make sure he doesn't take another tick from the Storm, but it's too little too late. Just barely makes it in. At least Malabuka can go for the revive.
You know, all things considering, he'll have more HP when he stands up than he did when he went down, so it's not all too bad here, but it is definitely time lost. The surge is active. They need to find a couple tags. Into the box they go. back behind him is another duo as well. And if he doesn't hit this shot, he's going to be sent back to the lobby. And he hits the one that matters. Malabuka and Mustache are clawing their way out of this hole here. And unfortunately, it might not be enough here. It's so close.
Malabuka is doing everything in his power, but I fear they have finally met their end. Zero business making it that far in the first place, though, but that is the kind of power that Malabuka and Mustache can bring.
Well, here's a couple things to celebrate. Placement points has been reached. We are inside the top 25. Anyone alive now is going to start to be rewarded with more and more points. This is where things start to almost compound for you, so you want to stay up. Vino is down right now. Clix has a very important decision to make here. You save your best mate or let him get sent back to the lobby so you can just focus in now. Seems like he wants to go for the save. Armored Rolf to be the saving grace here for a moment, though. Instead, Vino makes the call. Leave me. Continue to play the game here.
Veno knew there was just way too much pressure coming from the other side of that wall. A fully intact duo, and that duo being Queasy and Thomas HD. There's just no realistic opportunity for Clix to bring that one back. But Queasy, he's actually looking a little hurt here. He might have been desperate at that point, and Clix finds himself in a similar situation. Only has small shield potions to rely on, 2 below. When it comes to the damage threshold, he's got to make a move, and he's got to do it now. But I don't think anybody's giving him an opening.
Well, he's still inside the top 20 now. The more teams that fall, this would be excellent for Clix here. He just has to hold on a little bit longer. And he is doing just that, a little bit of a zone pull towards his side, more or less. But High Ground has Cammy and Seti looking from up above, and it has never looked better for this duo.
Kadu and Siet having already been eliminated. And again, reconvening with Clix's
oh my god
POV, but Clix
wow.
is just crazy with the movement. The fact that he manages to escape.
Still alive.
Still
he's clutching. Almost a top 15 now, and he's inside the top 15. Could he make a top 10? It's so close, and down he goes to the hands of Peterbot. He takes him down. Peterbot is also a solo.
It could have been anybody in this circumstance, but of course it had to be Peterbot. But take a look at the high ground, Chapentini. And they're looking for even more still. 5 eliminations already built up here, Monster. And they've got a really strong grasp on this high ground.
What an incredible view for Chapentini. This is coming off the mountain here. Seti seems to have lost his teammate now. Has to do this on his own here, but still. Anything can happen, but Mazenepic Guerrero inside the box, inside the lane. He's throwing armored walls down. That's going to buy him a little bit of time. Excellent plays here from Seti. No time to play with this storm, though. He just cannot afford it.
Seti's doing everything he can to try and scale his way up this mountain face, but things are just going to get all the more vicious the higher he climbs, the more pressure he might encounter. Muzz is going to find himself into a situation. Peterbot goes huge there, though, off of Seti.
8 eliminations now for Peterbot and Boyo here. Peterbot still going, nearly finding another one there. Just moments away now from a top 5 here. Can he do it as a solo? He's getting spotted out, though. Armor Wall comes down. Another weak player in front of him. Oh, he got that! Never powered out. It was so close. But now the focus comes into who will win game 1. We have just 4 teams remaining. Make that 5. Acorn and Cole find another.
Duke simply too sabotage, losing his duo Sphinx there to Peterbot, but Acorn and Cole, the fact that they are still intact, 5 armored walls as well to work with here for Acorn. Chapentini, though, they're trying to see if they can look for an opportunity to collapse. Vico Flixie off in the distance as well. The mid-ground starting to really pile up here.
Well, look at this. High ground starting to run out of material. Vico and Flixie, this is the pick for me. The team that I knew, you leave them uncontested. They're just going to put in dangerous work here on the field, and it is starting to shape up. Acorn and Cold, and a saving grace on the low ground, on the outskirts, putting pressure onto Japan's best. Rise and Yuma, who also has 7 eliminations. Yuma sends up against Acorn, finds a beautiful tag there. Loses teammate, though, finds another exchange. It's back and forth here. Anything can still happen.
All these teams scurrying in the low ground, though, they're sabotaging each other. Acorn's gonna go down. Yuma's still standing tall, but now Chapentini from the high ground, they're just gonna collapse, and that is just another elimination to add to the count. Vico Flixie versus Chapentini. It's a battle of Europe.
A battle for the ages indeed here. 5 eliminations still for Teeny and Chap. Things are starting to rack up. Teeny, the first to go down. Chap's also weak. They jump in. They close the game. And game number 1, the victory royale will go to Chap and Teeny.
Could it be more deserved. The way that they held down that high ground, MDF, you could tell that they were aiming exclusively for the victory royale at this stage. But granted, you have to keep in mind, there's somebody on the ground that can help out even more so.
Dallas, would you please give it up for your Game 1 winners? Chap and Tina, do you want to step up for me here, fellas? So everyone can see your glorious faces. Let's kick things off here. What a great start. I mean, you guys, obviously, Game 1, a lot of pressure, bit of waiting around the beginning, but in front of these fans, to walk us through the end game, how did things pan out for you guys?
Good. We're the best players, so it's easy.
Best players, easy. I mean, I love the confidence there. For you as well there, I mean, your teammate here, you guys worked to get Vico and Flixie in the last seconds there. You had the high ground. Is that what really counted there?
Of course, we're only playing for height, and that's how you win games. That's it.
Coming into this competition, obviously a lot of expectations, things that might happen. Did things pan out in that first game as you thought they might, or was it very different?
It was different. We took forecast, and then we just played out.
Those forecast towers are playing very pivotal in this as well. How important are those in the rest of this competition with 11 games left to go?
The most important thing, if you get that, you win the game. It's easy.
Would you please give it up one more time for your Game 1 winners? Ciabattini, everyone! Oh, things have started beautifully here. There is loads more coming your way here, courtesy of the FNCS Global Championships 2024. A short break from us here on the broadcast, but do not go anywhere. Stay exactly where you are. There's loads more coming your way very, very soon.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the FNCS game number 1. Chap and TD find themselves the victory royale, and that first game was absolutely crazy to see these guys come out on top and to get that interview, right? Hey, we're the best team. You just get forecast. You get this. You got. We're the best team. That's it. That's all that matters.
I mean, if you look at Major 2, Major 3, when they both got second place in both majors, yeah, they're kind of one of the best teams right now. Yeah. And showing up today and showing up early as well, eliminating Agers and Rise right off the bat.
Yeah, really, really interesting after this first game, because we were sort of talking about it going into the first game. Where are these guys going to land? What's their strategy going to look like? We didn't quite know, and now we get a little bit of an insight into what that's going to look like. It seems like they're really prioritizing that forecast tower. Another thing that we focused on at the beginning of the show. They want that forecast tower, and that's the reason why they're able to get height right here. You saw Cammy and Seti sort of shaping up to try and take height and holding it in that sort of 8-9 zone, but they didn't get that next zone. So Teeny and Chap took that opportunity really well because they knew where it was going.
Also, to be able to hold height for as long as they did, all the way from zone 9. Once again, the forecast tower allowing them to know where to move that height and use or save up those much needed mats towards the end of the game there. Absolutely phenomenal. What a great way to start the competition.
Just again, cold. They're just ice cold, chilling there. Yeah, we're the best. Not a big deal. Man, that is a statement game out of game number 1. But there were just so many things that transpired in game number 1. Just so many solo performances that all took place. I mean, we saw there for a moment, even Rise and Yuma making the top 3. 8 eliminations? That's terrifying. We can't let that happen.
Yes, we can, and they did. And I want to see it happen again. Rise and Yuma representing Asia right now, showing that, oh, yeah, it's NA versus you. You got to watch out for Asia as well.
Yeah, these guys are really looking good right there. 8 eliminations clutching up there in the end in those final few moments. The crowd erupted as soon as they got that final elimination. Wasn't quite enough to get into that first or second, but they've got to be happy with that start, particularly on this stage.
That's right. I want to highlight Peterbot, man. I don't know what Peterbot is about, but I do now. In those final moments, you know, Poyo goes down and you have the solo clutch, and he pulled it off.
And for Peterbot to take down Clicks in game number 1, you know that there was definitely some emotions going high right there. But Peterbot, if he is down into a solo, I mean, he's honestly a duo as a single player.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, both of these players have the ability to do this, solo clutches. And in big events like this, 12-game formats, these solo clutches are going to be so vital in getting these guys into a really nice position. I must say, this burst assault rifle X Peterbot is a crazy combo. It shouldn't be allowed because he's so good with that. And then even towards these end game situations, taking out Seti there at that final few moments just to keep himself going. Of course, too little, too late towards the end, but really great start from him.
I mean, their strategy is just so clean from the start. Landing rep, getting the coin, getting the mythic AR, going over to the forecast tower, and then getting the Rift Island as well in that game, allowing them to just have a little bit of height, a little bit more mats, and more importantly, getting that mod weapon bench so that I saw Poyo kind of modifying his weapons there, getting exactly what they wanted so that they were prepared for the end game.
I love seeing their 3rd place. Eco, Flixie, a 2nd place. They didn't even need the Victory Royale, right? The fact that they made it to 2nd place, you've already done too much. You've already let them get too far in the game.
Yeah, I mean, they started it off so strong as well, getting eliminations onto Shadow and Virgo by zone 1 there. And then, of course, just dominating the low ground as we know them to do.
Yeah, exactly. Another really solid performance of these guys. We've seen them do it previously. This is exactly what we expected. Low to mid ground, finding those eliminations. And towards the end there, where it was the final 2v2, it was kind of like Major 3, where it was 2 of the best teams in EU going head-to-head. Of course, 2 different, very different play styles. These guys are not necessarily going to be going for height every single game. But, of course, what I noticed there was a little bit of a change in rotation. They went towards the north side of their drop spot. So interesting to see whether that's going to change throughout the day, whether the forecast tower fight's going to affect that. But really nice start from these guys.
That's right, guys. I know you want more action. We could talk more about this, but let's just jump back into it. MDF, the best taco. Back over to you.
Yeah, that was a very intense game. Obviously, as we're coming out, you know, I couldn't even believe it. I almost, you know, just threw the whole mic off the headset. I was really into it for a second there.
Yeah, and the craziest part still, of course, we have 2 EU teams duking it out to close off our first lobby here. And match number 2 is ready to go.
The battle bus has left the station. Match number 2 is here. What do we have in store for us this game? I mean, last one was surely a surprise with the Middle Eastern teams taking a top 10 position. One Asia team up there as well. And of course, those that you expect. The best from NA, some of the greats from EU.
Yeah, and Acorn and Cold they haven't necessarily had an easy time about it either here at Brutal Beachhead. You know, you get like the soft contest coming out of Alex and Sato, and this could prove to be very difficult though for Alex and Sato, because you can tell the commitment is there, but if they want to take this fight to Acorn and Cold, it could be a really difficult one to actually close out in quick fashion.
We have to give all credit to not only Clix and Vino for Clix's performance to stay alive and secure a top 15, but Damo and Resigns, who found even more placement points, ending just closer to that top 10. So a very impressive performance for teams that were contested that game, actually. When you start to do the math on that, that is almost unprecedented.
Well, it was almost like Damo and Resigns were trailing Clix and Veno the entire match, and if they hadn't actually stumbled upon Kishuro as a solo, I almost wonder if things could have maybe gone a little differently there, because that's what really got them tied up into a rough position. But again, hindsight's always 20/20. Currently, we are focused on the now. Chap and Teeny lingered around the Nitrodrome, but Kanata and Cooper close by means that all they can really look for here is just trying to prioritize their mat count.
Yeah, we do know Kanata and Cooper like to rotate closer to Agers and Rise, whom was taken out pretty early last game, so they didn't get to secure that fight, and they found themselves in a completely different battle up against. Of Fortnite, game to game, micro adjusting, right? They all know what went well, what went wrong.
Patitas te presenta una promo intensamente divertida. Encontrá los tatús de los personajes de Intensamente 2 de Disney y Pixar dentro de los...
Is that just me? Like, bro, I was calling it Dome for such a long time.
Shortly.
La replay tiene delay, Randu, o sea, ya puedo entrar.
Ya rompe el pada, mío.
Mató.
A ver.
King y Face fighteando.
What is happening here? They seem to be finding their groove right now. It's Visual and Braids once again who are giving some of these duos a really difficult time, making them all second guess whether or not they should be sticking around and fighting.
Bien. Mostrame el loot de Feeling.
Muy bien,
Sí, sí, sí.
¿Habrán tradeado daño?
Ojalá, amigo. Lo mejor que les puede haber pasado es tradear daño en esa pelea, Esa pelea puede haber sido muy buena.
¿Vos decís de ver la replay igual, Ori?
Para mí no, los están enfocando bastante. Los están enfocando bastante, chat.
Para mí esto está increíble, amigo. Eso, para mí la están manejando bien las cámaras.
Por ahora, chat, por ahora vamos a dejar esto, amigos. Pero todas las partidas después vamos a analizar desde la replay, ¿ok? Amigo, la replay tiene 4 minutos de delay, ¿entienden?
Sí, suena muy Green Gate, ¿no? ¿Me parece?
Le conviene a los pibes, ¿no?
Sí, muy bien. Esta zona, amigo, las zonas de Green Gate son las que más tienen estudiados ellos. Se paran en una posición y hacen surge muy bien. Ojalá lo puedan hacer.
Keep going in favor of Acorn and Cold if they continue to take the fight to them. Do you switch for day 2? But I think we still got a few more lobbies to work through before that really starts to become the real question mark here. For Stash Malibuku, though, starting off somewhat on the right foot here at Restored Reels. One elimination already. Curious if one of those is onto either Alex or Worthy.
Yeah, something happened there, but Bolts and Bryce are in a fight right now. Little build-off happening here. It's a pretty intensive early game fight for, given the situation, a Zone 1 Skybase going on here. This is going to be a full-on reset if it doesn't end fast. It's up again, Vico and Clixie. You know, obviously, our second place coming out of game 1. Very much fired up, very much confident.
Bryce and Bolts are not going to fold here, though. The forecast tower, the weapons bunker that spawns nearby Dupenhausen, where Bolt and Bryce like to land. And this is something that, they were willing to contest Reed and Ritual for when it was Reed and Ritual at Reckless Railway. So now Vico, Flixie haven't taken over that position. And it's funny because you asked Vico in the player lounge last night, hey, what do you think about the forecast tower? He's like, that's my forecast tower. You ask any of these players who are actually trying to contest, they'll always tell you the same thing. That's my forecast. And yet, Vico, Flixie, they find themselves stuck because Bryce and Bolts either need to get eliminated or forced out here. Whoever controls NPC is going to win.
It's pretty incredible. You got to talk with Vico. I got to talk with Bolts and Bolts' brother, and they had nothing but positive things to say and honestly confidence about the fact that this is their forecast tower, and he's here, and he believes that paired up with Bryce, they are a perfect combination. So very interesting to see that both teams very much feel like they're entitled to this drop. Vico and Flixie seem to be the first, of course, boots on the ground here. They're going to secure the card, which means they have everything that they need here to go ahead and be the one to get the first dibs. But Bolt comes in, takes down Flixie from up above. Whose tower is it?
Vico might have that key card, but how long can he really hold on to it? He's trying to just get out of Dawes at this point, creating as much space as possible. But Bolts and Bryce, now that they've isolated Vico by forcibly eliminating Flixie, they're going to chase.
I'm done.